Good morning, grade 3 and 4. How are you doing today? It's Tuesday, May 12th, 2020, 5-12-20. Your story for Word of God today is Esther and the King, and you have a memory treasure, two of them, to tell me today. So I look forward to hearing those. Be working on homegrown butterflies. That story is also on AR, so make sure you take your AR test on that. Do your epic read for today and take the IR test on that. I know it's a little bit tricky because I assigned them all as far as what's on Epic, but if you could ask your mom and dads for a copy of the email that I sent out so that you do them in order. It's not that it's life or death, end of the world if you didn't do it that way, but I'm trying to have the stories kind of go with some of the things that you're working on that same day, and that might help you out, okay? Grade 3, you have just a review page to do from lesson 110. And then grade 4, we'll work together on lesson 119 once we get done going through Wisconsin history here. So today you have the test of manufacturing for Wisconsin history. And I'm going to switch to my other camera and we'll go through the crossword puzzle and the idiom sentences, okay? And I do want you to do those idiom sentences. So you would be writing 5 different sentences and then take a picture of that and send that in to me. You'll need to write very clearly, okay, for it to show up on this paper. So make sure you take a time for that. It's okay that you don't show me the crossword puzzle. That's all right. All right, just show me your sentences. Or if you'd rather type them in an email to me, that's okay too. Type your sentences in an email and that would be just fine if you want to do it on a separate type of thing. Alrighty, so here I go to my other camera. One moment. There we go. So here is our crossword puzzle answers. Number 1 across, timber industries have made this item their major product, and it is paper pulp. Paperpulp. What does Mercury Marine manufacture? And that is for outboard motors. This is a D. outboard motors. That should be a better D. Outboard motors. Gasoline is a byproduct of refining. Number 9. Kerosene. Kerosene. What early European voyagers named the Door Peninsula Porte de Mort Passage, or Death's Door Passage, and that was the French, French. Going down now. Number 2, what does Rockwell Automation manufacture? Electronics, Electronics. Number 3, male bees are drones, Drones. The blank line revolutionized automaking for the whole world. Assembly line, and that is for so many companies now as well, not just automakers. Assembly. The first filling station was set up near a refinery in what city? Seattle. And that is Seattle, Washington, Seattle. Number 7. What insects are one of the most industrious of all living organisms? The honeybees, Honeybees. What kind of production plant first used an assembly line in the United States? And that is meat, MEAT. Okay, so those are your answers for your crossword puzzle. And now let's take a look at the idioms. So, idioms, if you recall, are words that we do not want to take literally, okay? So, I'm going to help you out here a little bit. They give you a sentence with the idiom in it, and then they want you to make up your own sentence. Like I said, you can write it here, or if you'd rather type it to me in an email that would on your Chromebooks, that would be fine too. Just send me an email and write number 1, type number 1, and write a sentence then with breaking the ice. So what does it mean to break the ice? They were both so shy, they had a hard time breaking the ice. Like to get something started. They had a hard time getting a conversation started, okay? So how else could you use breaking the ice? You would not use it literally. Raleigh was breaking the ice with a pick to be able to go ice fishing. That would be using those words literally, and we don't want to do that. You're using it as an idiom, okay? When it comes to modesty in dress, I have to draw the line somewhere. So to draw the line means to stop, say that you can't go any further, okay? By halftime, the game was in the bag. No chance that they weren't going to lose. They were going to be 100% successful. Chris and I are in the same boat because neither of us have extra cash to spend on the field trip. So that means same situation. Now, be careful that you don't use any of these in the literal sense. You couldn't say, Micah and I are in the same boat because we're going fishing together. Well, that means that you are in the same boat because a boat is used for fishing. So don't use it literally. Make sure you're using it in an idiom sense. Number 5, would someone lend me a hand with the dishes? So to lend a hand means to help out. So use lend me a hand in your own sentences. So again, you're using the idiom phrase, lend me a hand, in the same boat, in the bag, draw the line, breaking the ice, and either write them here and send me a picture of it or type them out and send me an email. And there was one other thing that I wanted to go through with you, and that was if we look at the front, and I'm sorry, my camera is skinny. Boom to bust and back again. This is nothing that I asked you to do, but I'd like you to just look at this with you. So it was talking about in 2007 to 2009, there was a recession in the United States of America, and they compared it to the Great Depression. But really, they're saying that it was more like a boom and bust situation that we had in the 1890s. And what that means is that the economy went way up and then poof, the bottom fell out of it, okay? Instead of having so many other things like in the Great Depressions that led to the fall of the stock market, okay? And so, like if you think of the boom and bust, the early 1890s and the 2007 to 2009, what are some things that are the same? Well, the housing market slumped after a big boom, and a boom means that a lot of houses were being sold, and then the housing market in both instances slumped. Key businesses closed because of others, and many banks closed. And then if we look at the early 1890s, it was specifically railroad companies closed, unemployment at 10%. Thousands of unemployed men marched to Washington, D.C. to demand for help. And in 2007 to 2009, things that were more exclusive to them, the auto industry went out of business instead of the railroad companies. 8% unemployment rate, so still quite high. And it didn't tell you this in the article, but if you researched a little bit, you would see that government funds actually bailed out several of these auto companies during that time as well. Okay, so a good thing to do as you're reading, even if you don't actually do the Venn diagram, think about how they are the same, how are they different. That's what a Venn diagram allows you to see. How are they the same? How are they different? Okay, and good luck on your test then as well with that. I'm going to stay on this camera for one more minute. After you're done with your test today, you're going to be starting your work on the Wisconsin board game. It's week 24, okay? Touring the greatest state in the union. So reading this, discovering Nicolay, reading all of it, you will have a test tomorrow. You'll do your crossword puzzle, and then I do want you to read what is etymology, and I want you to do the activity here, okay? However, what we'll do is we'll each do one word, okay? We'll each do one word. So I'm going to have Raleigh is going to do algebra. So you're going to go to this website, http://www.edamyonline.com, and you're going to look up algebra. I want Caleb to look up route. I want Joanna to look up zero. I want Micah to look up Bronco, and Mrs. Stoltz is going to look up gorilla. Okay, so we're each going to look that up. All right, so by the end of the day today, this is one of the first things I want you to do is look that up and send me an email with your word. It already tells you here where it's from, and tell me what information you found out from edamyonline.com, okay? So you just have to do your one word. but I do need you to send me that information so that I can share it with everyone tomorrow in our class. So this is something that you have to have done, this part here, before the end of the day. And then tomorrow I will share that with our friends and go through the crossword puzzle on top, so on and so forth. So I'd like that to be one of the first things that you do today on Tuesday, okay? Certainly have a test to do on your other page, and I know you have math and so on and so forth, but have this be one of the first things you do and send me that information in an email, okay? All right, thank you very much. Third grade, you can be finished. Grade 4, let's talk some math. All right, so in lesson 119, we're going to be putting to use some information for what we've been working on the last few weeks, and that is to make our numbers have the same denominator. Remember, when we add and subtract fractions, they have to have the same denominator. Otherwise, we cannot do it. They have to have the same denominator. So let's take a look at example 1 in your book here. It says, and if you don't have your items out here yet, would you please pause the video, go and get your book and a slip of paper so that you can do the examples together with me and your practice together with me. And then I'm just using a scratch piece of old lesson, okay? So pause the video if you don't have those things so that we can work together. All right, so here we are. Our recipe calls for 1/4 of a cup of whole milk and 3/8 of a cup of skim milk. What amount of milk does the recipe call for altogether? Well, we cannot do 1/4 plus 3/8 as it is. We cannot do it, okay? These have to be the same. I am going to suggest for you to write your fraction equation in this manner, one on top of the other. That allows you to do the work that you need off to the side. So as you can see in your example, we're going to change them to have the same denominator. Well, it makes sense if we would change them to have a denominator of 8. We know that 4 can go to 8 into 8 evenly. So this way we don't have to change that one at all. So what do we do with 1/4 to make it have a denominator of 8? We multiply by 2. So that means we'll multiply the top by 2 as well, and that gives us 2/8. And we are going to add that. This is just going to get carried over to right here, 3/8. And now we add the entire kit and caboodle. So 2/8 plus 3/8 is 5/8. All right, so that part is easy then. This is something that we've done before. This part is something that we've done before, so we're just combining those two things to be able to work that out together, okay? All right, so that was example 1. Let's look at example 2. Chuck looked at the clock and saw that the lunch bell would ring in 5/6 of an hour. Chuck looked at the clock again 1/2 hour later. At that time, what fraction of an hour remained until the lunch bell rang? So we have to see a difference. So if we're finding the difference, we're going to subtract. So we have 5/6, take away 1/2. And again, and notice I'm making my equal bar here be quite a bit longer so that it doesn't get mixed up with my fraction bars, okay? I can't do that. I cannot subtract with different denominators. Can 2 go into 6? Sure, it can evenly. So we're going to keep the 5/6 the same. And now what can we multiply 1/2 by to have it equal something with a 6 as a denominator? Well, 2 times 3 equals 6. So we're going to do 3/3. So this time it's our top fraction that remains the same. We're going to work to change the bottom fraction to be 3/6. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. We still subtract. And if I have 5/6 and I take away 3/6, I get 2/6. But wait a minute. That is something I can reduce. I can divide 2 by 2 and 6 by 2, and then my answer is 1/3. All right, making sense? Can you see that okay? It's hard to see it on my computer, but hopefully it's just me. Hopefully you're able to see it well, okay? Well, let's try some practices, okay? Are we ready? Let me see if it helps if this is shaded a little bit here. Let me try it. That does help a little. All right. See if I can hold that there while we work. All right, so our first one is 1/2 plus 2/6. All right, so let's do that. 1/2 plus, and this is practice A, plus 2/6. All right, we notice that we have different denominators. We cannot add or subtract fractions with different denominators. So what are we going to change to? We are going to change this one to sixths. So what do I have to multiply this by so that I get a fraction with a 6 as the denominator? 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. This one is just going to get carried over. So 3/6 plus 2/6 equals 5/6. Now you might say, Mrs. Stolt, why didn't you change this one? Why didn't you reduce it? Because it wasn't my answer. If this is where I am in my answer, then I'll change it. But otherwise, I would have had to change this back to something with sixths anyway. Okay, so I'm not going to change it unless it's in my answer. Okay, so just so you understand that. Let's try B. 1/3 plus 1/9. Well, my 3 is going to get changed to have a denominator of 9. So 3 times 3 gives me 9. So 1 times 3 gives me 3. And I'm going to add 3/9 plus 1/9. That gives me 4/9. And that was B. Let's try C. Getting a cramp in my hand holding my paper. All right, for C, we had 1/8 plus 1/2. What will we change our fractions to? Yep, we're going to have a denominator of 8. Very good. So what do I have to multiply 2 by to get a denominator of 8? 4. 4 over 4. We add 1/8 plus 4/8 is 5/8. D. 3/8 minus 1/4. 3/8 is going to stay the same. What can I multiply 4 by to get 8? 2 over 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And my answer, I'm subtracting now, so make sure you're paying attention. 3/8 take away 2/8 is 1/8. We are almost done. 2 left to go. 2/3 take away 2/9. Now don't get tricked just because this number is bigger. Remember, when in a fraction, the more pieces you have, the smaller your fraction is. So how can we change this to be something that's equal to this? Well, we have to have it be in the 9ths. So what do I multiply by to get a fraction with a 9 as a denominator? 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, and I'm going to take away 2/9. 6 take away 2 is 4, and my answer is 4/9. That was E. And my last one is F. 7/8 minus 1/2. All right, my 7/8 is going to be okay as it is. What will I multiply 2 by to get eighths? 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 7/8, take away 4/8 is 3/8. And I'm just going to do a quick check to make sure none of my fractions can be reduced. Nope, they are all good. All right, so that is your practice today for our lesson 119. I'm going to go back to my screen with me. Whew. There we go, we did it. So you are almost finished with your math as well. We have lesson 119 today, lesson 120 tomorrow, tests on Thursday, and then we have one last investigation to do on Friday altogether. So I would like to do that as a Google Meet like we did our last investigation. So check with your families and see if something around maybe 9:30 or 10 would work for us to work together, okay? And that would work out great for me. So just contact me back and see what time works the best for your family to get done. This one shouldn't take us very long either, okay? We don't have anything to measure. It's a worksheet that we're going to be doing together. And so I don't think it will take us long, maybe half an hour. I would say 40 minutes at the most, okay? So if that helps you to know how long it will take as well. Alrighty, so you let me know what time works best for you on Friday for our investigation. And I'll get in touch with our third graders as well, okay? All right, God's blessings on the rest of your day. Work hard. See you soon.